Unfortunately, Steve argues that the movement seen in these images was caused by divers, and that Chie Kelly's famous Nessie photographs might also have simply captured divers. So, were Chie Kelly's images real? Did Steve Feltham capture new footage in 2025? And does he still believe in the monster? Lean back and get ready for some fascinating footage and a truly unusual life story. Chie Kelly is an amateur photographer who came into the spotlight in 2023 with her mysterious water surface images taken at Loch Ness. She became a key figure who reignited public interest in the Nessie legend and sparked major debate. Her images were described as some of the most convincing photographs in the history of Loch Ness. What makes it even more interesting is that Chie Kelly actually took these photos in 2018, but didn't share them with anyone for 5 years. Why? Because she believed people would make fun of her. Even though she was convinced she had witnessed something serious, she hesitated to release the images due to fear of ridicule or being dismissed. Steve Feltham, who has been searching for Nessie for over 30 years and lives by the shore of Loch Ness, took Kelly seriously and encouraged her to release the images. In fact, he was the one who persuaded her. In a 2023 statement, Feltham described the photos as the most compelling evidence of Nessie I've seen in the last 30 years.
I can't instantly explain what it is. I've not seen images from the surface of the water that have been as good as this, taken in the last 30 years.
This statement gave Kelly the courage she needed, and she finally decided to share the photos with the public. While walking along the shore with her family, Chie Kelly noticed a mysterious dark object moving on the water's surface. She quickly took a series of photographs. The images were quite clear and included several different angles. They closely resembled the classic Loch Ness Monster silhouette. But let's be honest, if you really saw Nessie, would you take a photo or record a video? Why did Kelly choose to take photographs instead of filming a video? So what do you think? Do you believe Kelly's photos are real? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. In 2024, after divers were spotted in the same area, posing in similar positions, the authenticity of Kelly's images began to be questioned. Steve Feltham, after reviewing the footage himself, changed his mind and suggested that the figures in the photos were most likely caused by divers.
So now we find out the Chie Kelly photographs were taken right out here, and this evening we've got 6 Belgian divers just gone into the water. There's 2 of them over here above that bloke. Okay, that's very close to the shore. Those 2 that are right out there, they're much more in the vicinity of where Chie Kelly did her photographs. Let's see what I can get in amongst there.
Steve Feltham left his home and job in Dorset in 1991 and moved to the shores of Loch Ness in the Highlands of Scotland. Since then, he has been searching for Nessie full time. He lives in an old converted mobile library, a decision rooted in his childhood fascination with the Loch Ness Monster after a family trip to the area. What began as curiosity eventually turned into a lifelong obsession. At the age of 28, in 1991, he quit his job, sold his house, broke up with his partner, converted a mobile library into a caravan, and moved to the edge of Loch Ness. Since that day, he has spent over 30 years living by the lake and observing it. He spends his days watching the water through binoculars, cameras, and audio equipment. He documents anything unusual he sees and shares his findings through social media and the press. He also crafts and sells small Nessie-themed figurines to tourists. This allows him to continue his search while living independently. He has been featured multiple times by major outlets like BBC, National Geographic, and Discovery Channel. Steve Feltham has even made it into the Guinness Book of World Records as the longest continuous Loch Ness Monster hunter. According to him, in his very first year, he witnessed something in the loch moving at the speed of a jet ski, but he was unable to capture it on film. Since that moment, Steve has spent over 3 decades hoping to witness and record a second encounter.
I was fortunate in the first year. I suddenly spotted this streak of water, almost like a jet ski, but without the jet ski. A spray of water coming off of something, which travelled like half the length of a football pitch in less than 10 seconds, just really fast, like a torpedo. And as it hit each oncoming wave, that would be the big splash of water. So it just went boff, 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 boff against my vision. And I just froze. I just look at that. And as soon as it finished, reality came flooding in, and I thought, damn it, that's my job. I should have photographed that. Okay, this is year one. This is halfway through year one. I've had this sighting. Next time I'll be ready. Next time the camera will be there, and I'll get that picture. And it gave me the false belief that it wouldn't be long before the next sighting was just around the corner. And here we are, 3 decades later, and I'm still waiting for that second sighting. So it turns out it's not as easy as I thought.
So, does Steve still believe in Nessie? At first, he believed there could be an unknown species in the lake. He was especially interested in the idea of a plesiosaur-like creature. But in 2015, he publicly announced a change in his views. He said, "I think Nessie is most likely a giant catfish." Steve doesn't deny the legend of Nessie, but he argues that the origin of this legend is more likely to be natural phenomena, human activity, or optical illusions. In his words, there is something unknown out there, but it doesn't have to be supernatural. In 2025, Steve continues to observe and photograph the loch, but his content now leans more towards skepticism. For example, he asks questions like, were the figures in Chie Kelly's photos actually divers? Today, Steve speaks to both skeptics and believers. In recent years, he has been more focused on evidence-based inquiry rather than myth. So, what do you think about Steve and his recent statement? Whether Nessie is real or not, I believe Feltham's search for her is more than just a quest to find a monster. It is a personal journey and an expression of what it means to follow one's passion. He himself has said that this journey has brought him freedom, adventure, and inner peace. He left his home, his job, and his life behind to settle in a caravan on the shores of Loch Ness. For over 30 years, he had one mission: to find Nessie. He chased a legend, but over time, he realized that legends are not always shaped by truth. Sometimes they're shaped by hope. Today, he still lives by the lake. He earns a living by making and selling small Nessie figurines. But he no longer believes in the monster, at least not in the way it's often described. And maybe that's exactly why people believe him the most. Because even though his livelihood depends on it, he chooses not to sell belief, but to speak only of what he has seen. Still, the fact that he hasn't encountered anything in over 30 years doesn't mean Nessie doesn't exist. Thousands of eyewitness reports and decades of investigation suggest that the Loch Ness Monster will always remain an unsolved mystery. So, what do you think about Nessie? Is it just a myth or something real? By the way, don't miss our previous video where we covered the latest findings from the Nessie search project. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like to help support our research and keep the search going.
I'm still impressed with maybe 1/10 of the stories I hear. I think that really warrants investigation. That sounds plausibly like something big and unexplained. As time has gone on, a realization has come along that I'm now no longer looking for long-necked dinosaurs. I don't think there's plesiosaurs in here. I'd love there to be, but no matter how hard I wish there to be plesiosaurs in here, it won't make plesiosaurs appear in here. They're not in here.